What is up, Armchair Fandom? I'm the Real Last Jedi. Long time no see. We're back. Today we're going to be talking about Star Wars Andor. We're going to talk about a movie I watched last night called 13 Lives that I'm going to do a non-spoiler reaction for. And we're going to talk a little bit about House of the Dragon and any other thing that comes to our mind. Before we get started, remember, smack that bell, hit the notification bell, subscribe to our channel, hit a like on the like button for this video. If you like what we produce, send us some suggestions in the comment section. You can reach us on Facebook at Armchair Fandom Facebook group and on Twitter at armchair_fandom. Let's get started. What's up, loser?
Oh, wow. He's back. He's still alive. Here he is, ladies and gentlemen. The real last content creator is back. Greetings from the hallowed halls of Korriban.
Where you been?
Well, Darth, the machinations of the Sith are something that we just don't discuss on air and live. I've been, doing some serious research in the Sith Academy archives, penning my own manuscripts and, of course, going through the legends of Darth Malgus and Darth Revan and, of course, my mentor, Darth Bane. So that's what I've been doing. What have you been doing?
Nothing.
More things change, more they stay the same.
Yeah, man. Been on vacation, some other stuff.
Yeah, you worked so hard putting all this content out. You needed a break, man.
I needed a real break from Lucasfilm after the Obi-Wan Kenobi series. I didn't have any interest in putting out any content for a while. That series almost destroyed my fandom. But glad to say,
I take that to mean you haven't watched the making of Obi-Wan yet, the documentary on Disney Plus. I haven't watched it yet either.
No, I'm not interested in watching that. I'm pretty sure I know what the making of that show entailed. It was like any way they could tear down a character, they would do it. So I'm not interested in that. I did tell you after that series that Andor was Lucasfilm and Star Wars' last chance to keep me around, and I'm a little bit iffy on it still. We're only 3 episodes in, but at least it's not a dumpster fire. I really enjoyed the first 3 episodes. I think it's going to pick up even more in the 4th episode. I've heard rumors of where they're going after the end of the 3rd episode. But with all that said, let's just go ahead and get into that topic. You got to watch the first 3 episodes, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
What was your overall opinion of it?
Start out slow, but then again, some of these shows do. And, and he was an interesting character. I mean, Rogue One is, like you and I have agreed, it's one of the few good films that Lucasfilm has made since they purchased Star Wars. So, I mean, I think the show's it's doing enough to keep my interest. I'm not sitting there and saying that I like it better than some of the other ones, or like The Mandalorian, but it's doing enough to keep me interested. It's about all I can say right now.
Yeah, it's doing that for me. Well, this takes place for anybody that'll watch this video that doesn't know this. It takes place 5 BBY. In Star Wars language, that means it's 5 years before the Battle of Yavin, which was the destruction of the first Death Star in the very first Star Wars movie. Rogue One was a movie about the group that stole the plans to that Death Star so that they knew where to attack it at. This show's picking up a little bit before that movie, so it's like a prequel to a prequel. It's covering the main character from Rogue One, Cassian Andor, and it's showing how he got involved with the rebellion. We was led up in the first 3 episodes to him meeting this character I'm not sure what the character's name is yet. It'll stick with me eventually. But he's played by what's his name, Stellan
Stellan
Skarsgård.
Skarsgård, yeah. Mm-hmm.
I've always liked him. I remember him from the movie Good Will Hunting. I think Diego Luna's a good actor.
You know who was also in The Hunt for Red October?
Yeah, that's right, he was. But I like him. He's been
He was
in a
Captain
few.
Tubalov for that, and much different than the roles he normally plays now.
Yeah, and he was in the first two Thor movies.
He was.
Was he in Love and Thunder?
He had a brief appearance, yes.
But he's a good actor. But
he is.
We've gotten up to the point. Cassian Andor was started out looking for his sister in episode 1, but he ends up having a run in with these paid security that the Empire has delegated out to these corporations that have these security companies. Well, he has a run in with two of their thugs and ends up killing two of them, and that puts him on the not necessarily the Empire, but that security company's radar. Not necessarily the security company either. It's one. Uh, what's the word I'm looking for? A guy that's wanting to climb the ladder within this company, and he's the only one that really cares about catching him. So the next two episodes is about him trying to figure out a way to get away from this place that he's presently living at. And then in episode 3, where he's introduced to this new character played by Stellan Skarsgård, who gets Cassian to agree to go with him, and they take off on a speeder bike. They get away from the security group, whatever their name is. I think people are calling them Primo, which is lame. I don't know why everybody's calling them that. I can't remember. I could go back and look at the episode. They're calling them that because it's short for something. It's like primary something, but that's the name of the security company, and they're after him, and he gets away. And without giving too much away, I think the rumor is that in episode 4 they're going to end up on Coruscant. So
they look more like the Star Wars version of the tracksuit mafia from the Marvel.
Yeah, I wasn't real big on their costumes. Like I said, this show so far, it's got me at least intrigued. I'm not going to rave on it. I'm not going to dump on it just yet because it has made me intrigued to find out what happens next. And the fact that they are supposed to go to Coruscant in episode 4, what we might be introduced to there, who we might see. There's a whole number of possibilities where it could go from there. So I am interested. I had some nitpicks. You just brought up one of them. I didn't like the costumes for these security guys and a couple other things that's not coming to my head right now because there wasn't major problems. What's your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, it looked like just a bunch of it looked like a combination of Paul Blart's Mall Cop and Tracksuit Mafia from the daggone Marvel movies, and I'm just like, you can't take these guys seriously. I mean, those two goofballs that he killed at the beginning of the daggone series are just a couple bozos that had to. You could tell they were both grade A turds, and they both deserve to bite the dust. So I hope these blue shirted bozos aren't around very long. Personally,
Yeah, me too. That's the problem with these Star Wars Disney shows. They'll get so many things right, and then there'll be one or two things in the series that'll just totally distract you. My favorite example of this is the Rainbow Bright hovercraft crew from the Boba Fett series. They had no story arc or anything. They just show up on their rainbow color motor hover grandma's scooters that don't even move that fast and end up saving the day. That was a big problem with that show. This show, all the costumes look great, except for the fact that these guys look like they come off of a Saturday morning cartoon.
well, I didn't like those guys either from Boba Fett, but I think the thing that really kind of detached me in Boba Fett is I didn't need his backstory of 3 or 4 episodes with the Sand People. That was a 1 episode deal. it just kept dragging it. Look, we know he was there. We know he did all this stuff. Please move on.
Hopefully, the flashbacks to Cassian as a kid are over because
I know. I haven't got to that yet.
He met that character. I think her name was Mauve or Marv or something like that.
Y'all want to call her Maud.
Maud, yeah. He met her, and that's who he's with on this planet he's trying to get off of. But it could still show some flashbacks and show what happened to his parents. Everybody's like comparing those flashback scenes to the movie The Lord of the Flies because all it is kids. But I don't think that's the case at all. I think something's happened to all of their parents.
Does that look like Yavin to you? Where is it looked an awful lot like Yavin, that planet those kids are on? Or I can't remember what it said it was at the beginning, but it looked awful lot like the Yavin.
It's not Yavin, but I'm not remembering. Canary or something like that is the name of it. But yeah, man, what'd you think? Any other thoughts?
Well, I thought, like I said, I'm like you. I hope that I don't really see much need for that. You can have, again, that's a one episode deal. Show his backstory a little bit, how he met up with Maud and how she took him on her, adopted him on the hyperspace, foster parent deal, and you just move on with that. And I mean, like you and I both like the Rogue One. Andor is a good character, but I don't know if we need to flash out so much of his backstory because he was a one-shotter. So
there's really no stakes for his character right now because we know what happens to him.
Yeah, I mean, I'm okay seeing seeing some of his exploits, and that's what will keep me watching it. But I think we're getting a little bit too much character exposition, if you ask me, which is hard to believe when you're saying Star Wars up to the sequel fiasco. But it's whatever.
But there is a lot of opportunity when they get to Coruscant because there's so many characters around at this point in the timeline. They can, unless they just kick the bucket on down the road like they have with so many other shows.
Unless they have him meet up with those sisters from the Clone Wars 3-episode arc that we didn't need to see. The underground, of course. I hope we don't do that.
I hope we don't do that. I think it would be cool. I don't know exactly. I don't know if this show has finished filming, but usually with these episodic series, they're like still filming when the show premieres and still working on the back end of the series. I don't know if that's how this show's going or not, but they did cast somebody for Ezra Bridger recently, and he'll probably show up in the Ahsoka show. But, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if he had a run-in with Cassian or something like that, or maybe even Kane. And all those characters are around right now. Is the point.
Right.
So he could have a run-in with any of these people. You could see the Emperor. You could see Darth Vader pop in here. I mean, we know they had Hayden Christensen on as Vader, so you don't know what kind of other shots they may have shot at him to plug in this show or another show.
Reva could show up too. She might do an arc.
I hope to God she don't show up. I mean, they should have got their the clue on that character when she couldn't get enough backers for her Hasbro HasLab toy. She only got like half the backers they needed, but
I saw that.
Yeah, but any other thoughts? Anything else you want to delve into?
Well, as far as that show goes, I think you and I both are in agreement for once that basically they've showed us enough to keep us interested. I'm not. How many episodes is it going to be? 6, or do you know?
I think. Give me a second. I think it's like 12.
12?
I believe so. Hold on one second.
I never thought they'd commit that many episodes to me. This was The Mandalorian.
I think this was the first show that they've done for Star Wars that is going to have more than 6 episodes. Unless Mandalorian, I don't remember if Mandalorian had more than 6 in season 1 or 2 or not.
Well, She-Hulk has 9, and unfortunately that's sucking away the life of me watching that, but this has got to be better than that.
I watched the first episode of She-Hulk. I'm not even going to try to finish watching that.
If you would have watched episode 5, I would actually watch it. I would actually encourage people to tune in to hear your rant about episode 5. It would be must watch TV if you would watch episode 5 just to see your rant on that. Would it be? Because it is.
You know what? I might go ahead and watch that series and then just do like a 2-minute rant video on each episode. Because from what I've seen, that show's absolutely worthless. And I don't want to hear this crap about, hey man, it's loyal to the comics or any of that stuff. This ain't the comics. This is a TV show, and there's a lot of people that you got to try to attract to watch the show other than the comic fans.
I got to tell you, I mean, the first couple of episodes I could stomach. I didn't really love them, but third one, only thing that saved is Wong. But episodes 4 and 5 were just a killer. Episode 5 just sucked the life out of me, and it just like.
Andor season 1 is 12 episodes.
12 episodes. Okay, wow, breaking news. Okay, I didn't know that. Wow. Well, that's that definitely means that I think that totally torpedoes your theory about the backstory with him as a kid being about over. I bet there's at least 2-3 more episodes of that.
Well, that's what I said. I said I think they'll still flash back to show you what happened to his parents, because a lot of people saying this is just a planet of kids and they're all. It's like the Lord of the Flies. There are no adults. I don't agree with that at all. That's just a dumb take, in my opinion. They've already showed on that planet how the Empire's already drained the planet of its resources, and then this aircraft crashes, and they told you that it let out toxic fumes. So the Empire closed it off to where nobody can be there no more. There can't be any more mining exploration done because of the toxic fumes. And I have an opinion. I have a theory that the parents ended up dying to the Empire somehow.
Right.
I don't think they just had a planet full of a bunch of kids. That's what I've heard a bunch of people say, and I'm like, that's just stupid. That don't make any sense.
I think you're probably right. I can see that being the case.
So yeah, it's going to be 12 episodes. I don't know what we got coming up in the future for Star Wars.
Besides Mandalorian and Ahsoka, I think that's the 2 most immediate things. And then Bad Batch season 2 is going to be mixed in there somewhere. And I could have done without season 1. It was okay, but
you got the Acolyte show.
You know, they never said anything about that at D23. I don't know if that means anything or not, but they never. Every review I've seen, nobody they pointed out that nobody said anything about that show at D23. So I don't know if it's it or what.
And you got Tales of the Jedi, which I'm not interested in.
I think Tales of the Jedi might be interesting. I'm going to watch that.
It depends. If it focuses on a bunch of different Jedi and it's just individual stories, it could be interesting. If it's another story about another Jedi that survived Order 66 or anything like that, I mean, we got to expand at some point. We can tell some of these stories till they're told to death.
Well, speaking on behalf of the Sith, I think we should get some representation and get the daggone Sith, the Tales of the Sith series too, which I'd be more than happy to help advise on that. But of course, it probably never happened. We won't get that kind of representation.
Yeah, we got to have a Sith. We got to have something focused on the Sith, man. I mean, there's so many awesome characters out there.
And can I get a witness?
They just keep creating these lame characters to throw in front of us. And they got a treasure trove. But, of course, Kathleen Kennedy said they didn't have any source material, so there's that.
No, we don't have any. It's not like Marvel. We don't have a ton of comic books and source material. Really? Ever heard of EU? My bad.
All right, man. Anything else before we move on?
No, I think we're good.
All right. You won't know much about this topic. I just want to talk about it just for a quick second. I watched a movie last night. Somebody had told me about it. And I noticed it was on Amazon Prime for free. I checked it out last night. It's a very good movie. I don't remember this story when it was on the news, but this is a true story about 13 kids in Thailand with their coach. So I guess it was 12 kids and their coach. They were a soccer team. Before the monsoons hit Thailand, they went up to explore this cave. And when the monsoons hit, this cave floods. And it wasn't time for the monsoons yet, but while they were up in there, they got this bad storm that poured the rain for like 3 or 4 straight days. And these kids and their coach ended up trapped up in this cave. And it has Viggo Mortensen in it. It's got Colin Farrell and Joel Edgerton, which is a good cast, but they play these doctors and cave divers that come from Great Britain to try to help the government of Thailand to get these kids out. And the things they had to do and the ideas they had to come up with to get them out. It was very interesting to watch. So I would suggest to anybody.
Yeah, definitely suggest watching me more. Exactly.
Huh?
I say I would definitely suggest the audience tune in to see more of Darth Pane, but go ahead, please.
Yeah, watch Darth Pane. Of course, he don't have his own YouTube channel, so
No, I'm working on that.
yeah, you've been
I
working
figure
on that.
I figure it won't take me too much longer to catch up with you on content, putting out one show every 6 months. So I can catch up with you in about 2 weeks.
Well, just turn on your camera and staring at it for 5 seconds, then uploading it to YouTube as a short. I wouldn't really consider that content, but
that's
anyway.
probably more than you've been putting out lately. But what can I say?
Anyways, let's move on. Me and you've been watching this, and I gotta say, I like it. This is a great show. What have you thought so far? Since we haven't, this is just going to be a catch-up discussion. Next Sunday, when we do another episode of Armchair Fandom, we'll discuss this week's episode of this.
I tell you this. Oh gosh, considering the way Game of Thrones season 8 ended, I mean, this is a breath of fresh air, and I didn't have much hopes going into this thing because our favorite author, George R.R. Martin, who's supposedly still working on the last couple of books, which will never come out in our lifetime, if ever, is consulting and helping on this show. And I thought it was a very good idea to go back and do the Targaryens and delve into that family and all the stuff, crazy crap that went on with them. And so far, it's delivered on every level. And I would have to say that Matt Smith he's really been the standout performer on this show, but everybody else has done very good as well. I can't really say that, they've done too many bad things on there. I mean, there's a few things you'll always have problems with, certain things, but other than that, I'd say I can see why it's drawing all the viewers.
Well, considering the fact that it's competing with Rings of Power, I can see why it's drawing a lot of viewers. I watched 15 minutes of that show and I was done. I wasn't ever a huge Lord of the Rings fan. I watched all the Lord of the Rings movies and watched the Hobbit movies. I've never went back and rewatched any of them except the first Lord of the Rings movie, which I thought was the best one, Fellowship of the Ring. You told me you watched about 45 minutes of it and thought it was too slow. It is very slow. The entire trilogy is slow like that, with moments of a lot of action and stuff. But on Fellowship of the Ring, I really think you should give it a little bit more time, at least until they show up. I forget what they call that place. It's this big mountain that they got to go through these tombs to get through on the other side. And it's a lot of great scenes when that happens. But other than that, I wasn't a big Lord of the Rings fan. So it took 15 minutes of Rings of Power for me to realize that was garbage, to not be interested in watching it anymore. That's not why I've never rewatched the Lord of the Rings movies. Those are actually done really well, but they are slow and long, so I've never rewatched any of them except Fellowship of the Ring, like I just said. House of the Dragon, on the other hand, I was lucky when Game of Thrones was out because I never got into it until you told me how good it was. And then I went and I was lucky enough that I got to binge the first 7 seasons
Yeah,
and finish the first 7 seasons right before season 8 came out.
I
So
did the same thing.
I didn't have to sit and wait every single week from season 1 all the way through
You and me
to
both. Yeah, I
season
didn't
to
either. Yeah,
season.
I did the same thing.
So I can tell you though, House of the Dragon, if it was up into like 4 or 5 seasons, it's good enough that I could see myself binging it because
Oh yeah.
they do have a lot of good cliffhangers at the end of these episodes, and the stories are intriguing enough that you do want to see what happens next. Uh, I still don't know what Damon is that his name? Viserys's brother. I still
Yeah.
don't know what his end goal is. I,
I
I
assume
mean,
it's be on the Iron Throne like everybody else's is, but I mean, it just seems to be
well,
the
he
goal.
can't sit on the Iron Throne. His heir could.
He can if he could if he gets Rhaenyra.
Yeah, she dies.
Well, no, yeah, but when her father, if Viserys dies and he gets her, and then she'd be the queen, and then he would be the king technically. So yeah, so he would sort of be on the Iron Throne, I guess. But like you said, it's more or less one of the things with the heirs. And it's all pointed toward Aegon. Everything is pointed toward Aegon, despite the fact we're getting a bunch more kids showing up in these daggone episodes, as you've noticed.
Yeah. Uh, but I don't think it's any secret that all the story that's going on right now is going to end up with a bastard known as Jon Snow that nobody knows who he belongs to.
That's okay. We're getting a Jon Snow sequel show after Game of Thrones. Goodness knows we gotta keep sticking that knife in the back.
They're coming out with a Jon Snow show.
Yes.
I didn't
Yes, I'm
know
not
that.
kidding. I wish I was making it up. Look, I like the character of Jon Snow, but that was crap way to end the show.
Is it a prequel?
No, it takes place after the Game of Thrones. No, it's not a
Is
prequel.
so he's what was the character's name that got the throne at the end of the season?
Bran,
Brand, yeah, the blind kid. So he's on the throne, and his half brother or
back at the
adopted
wall.
brother.
He's back at the wall, I guess.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm not making it up. I mean, it's in development. Kit Harington confirmed it.
See, that was one thing that drove me crazy about Game of Thrones. Most people was upset with what happened with Daenerys at the end when she just went through there and took a blowtorch to King's Landing.
I had no
My
problem with that.
biggest beef was how they built up the White Walkers and winter is coming for 7 seasons, and they finally come through there and the battle lasts like 15 minutes. That was horrible.
Second battle of Winterfell, buddy.
And
We take care of the White Walkers. We move on.
and what makes that even worse is the fact that now you got the king in House of the Dragon, Viserys. He was having visions of all that like a couple hundred years before it even happened.
Keep twisting that knife, buddy.
If it was so important that he was having visions, how do you only focus on it for 15 minutes?
Keep twisting that knife. That's what they're doing. I mean, this is, and again, I'm not saying anything bad about anybody who watched it from the beginning when it debuted to where you and I basically cheated, and it's fine though because I heard about it. It was on HBO. And I managed, just like you, I was ahead of you, but I still managed to do the same thing you did. I watched all 7 seasons, had a very minimal wait before season 8. I would have probably lost my crap if I'd have been like some of these people that would have actually been there from the beginning. And you get an ending like that, I'd be getting the lynch mob together.
Well, I know a little bit about that being a Walking Dead fan. I've been there on Sunday night for 10 seasons, 11 years, watching The Walking Dead, not missing an episode. Watching it every Sunday night for 11 years when it's airing each season, and it has went downhill since like season 6 or 7.
You
But
invest a lot of time.
I've stayed loyal to it because it's my favorite TV show of all time. But I'm having a feeling that the last 8 episodes that's getting ready to air in October is really going to drop the ball. If they don't bring Rick Grimes back for like the last 30 minutes of the final episode, him and Michonne, I'm going to be like all the Game of Thrones fans. I'm going to be like, that was a worthless ending to the series.
Well, it's like you said, and you could just tell the last season was rushed, hurried. They wanted to get it done. It's like the IRS was after them or something. They had to get out of town. The whole thing was rushed. If you're going to put that out there, do it right. I mean, gosh. I mean, that's what makes House of the Dragon so refreshing. I mean, okay, look, it's going to have, I don't know how many episodes it's going to be. But and I'm not really a big fan of the fact that they're going to age Rhaenyra and Alicent really, because I think those actresses that played the younger version of them, I understand why they're doing it. I think it's a little soon to do it. But boy, I tell you, they rushed Game of Thrones season 8 so bad, and really crap the ending, and then I just hope it doesn't happen with this show. I really do.
Okay, real quickly, let's just do a rundown of the first. What have we had so far? 5 episodes of House of the Dragon.
Yeah.
Okay, it started in the first episode. One of the Targaryens that was on the front throne died, right?
Right.
Did he not have any heirs? He didn't have any heirs. So it was.
I can't totally remember, but it picks right up after that with Viserys being on the throne.
Yeah, he couldn't have had heirs, but because the throne was between his brother and his female cousin.
Right.
And of course, they decided to give it to his brother. So then he was married. His wife never could give him any heirs. She had girls, but she couldn't give him a male son. She had like 3 males that either died in childbirth, and that was a very haunting decision he had to make in one of the earlier episodes where the baby was breached, and he had to decide either to save the baby or save his wife. And he wanted that heir so bad, he told him to go ahead and cut her open. And then had the gall to look at her and say, "I love you," before he let him do it. It's like, whatever, man. But I don't know. I guess both of them would have died if he hadn't have done that. I
think the way it was presented is that she was going to die regardless, and they only had to he had to make the choice whether to try to save the child or not. I think that's the way it was presented.
Yeah, it was still cold, man. It was a tough scene to watch, but
yeah,
I don't remember if that was in episode 1 or episode 2, but he ends up with no sons. He ends up with no sons as an heir, but his hand has a daughter, and the king's hand manipulates the scene, like always goes on in Game of Thrones, and ends up working things out to where Viserys and his daughter, not remembering her name right offhand, Allison end up getting married, and then she starts popping out male children, and one of them's name is Aegon. He's the
first
oldest.
First one's name Aegon, yep.
And so now you got this contention going on between Rhaenyra, which is his daughter that he named heir of the throne, and the fact that she's got living half siblings that are males. And then to make matters worse, you got the brother of King Viserys, who is trying to manipulate things and make power grabs to try to get closer to the throne.
Yep.
So that's basically what's happened so far in the first 5 episodes.
That's it, exactly. Just and of course, I guess we'll get into it the next time. But the last episode 5, basically had another one of Game of Thrones wedding episodes, and we know how those usually go.
Yeah.
I think Robb Stark. I think if I remember correctly, Robb Stark's wedding is the only one in the entire series that came off without incident, and we know what happened at the end of that.
Yeah, the reception didn't go down too well.
Nope, not at all.
Anyways, if you don't know what we're talking about, go on YouTube and type in "Red Wedding," Game of Thrones. You'll find it.
Wasn't Joffrey's called the Purple Wedding?
I'm not sure. I don't remember.
I think that's what it was. That was my favorite one. when
he choked.
Well, I tell you.
Then they tried to blame
Sansa,
Tyrion.
Tyrion and Sansa.
He was Joffrey's hand. They tried to blame him for doing it, but I don't know. My favorite character so far in this show is probably Viserys. So far. Just because I think the actor playing him is doing such a good job.
Well, he is. He's doing really good. I think my favorite's probably Matt Smith, who plays Daemon. I think he's just really still in the show. And if you saw what happened the last episode with him and his wife, holy cow!
Yeah, I've seen that. she's like, you never could finish, could you? And he went over there and like smashed her head in with a boulder.
I was like, holy cow, man. I mean, that's one thing about Game of Thrones, though. If there's anything I could ever tell anybody about that show is never get attached to a character, because I guarantee you they're going to bite it at some point.
Yeah. Another thing about the first 5 episodes I wanted to mention was the wedding that you brought up, because I hadn't got into that. But it wraps up. Episode 5 wraps up. They're having this wedding, and all the major houses from Westeros is showing up to celebrate the marriage of Rhaenyra, the heir to the throne, and one of the second most powerful house in Westeros is, what's their name, Valyrian?
Valerian, yeah.
Or is that the old world?
You know what? Are you referring to where Alicent comes in and makes her entrance? Because she's representing her family's house, which is the High Towers.
No, I'm talking about the family that they betrothed Rhaenyra
to. That's the one, Viserys. Yeah, that's that one. Yeah, that's the second one, because they got the Navy, the ships, and everything.
Yeah, and that's Valerian, right?
Valerian, yeah.
Okay, yeah. So that's where we're at. They had 2 houses getting ready to marry 2 of their heirs off to each other, which would have been a great alliance. You find out because of the ships that the other place owns and all this stuff. They have the ships, and the Targaryens have the dragons. If they marry into each other, nobody's going to be able to challenge their power, is basically what it is. But Matt Smith shows up at the end, and I don't know what he did, but he caused some kind of ruckus to go off, and when it was all said and done, the heirs of the Valerian guy's boyfriend, he's gay, he ends up dead. Sir Criston is the one that kills him, which he's the one that has a love affair with Rhaenyra. So now everything's getting all twisted up.
Actually, Daemon didn't have anything to do with that starting. That was the guys whose boyfriend went and said something to the Rhaenyra's dude. He's the one that got everything started. Actually, Matt Smith didn't have anything to do with that one.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not the way they shot that though, and everything. I know it's implied that that's what happened, but I think somehow Daemon instigated it, because the way they shot it and what they led you to believe is he had a conversation with Rhaenyra about something and made you think that he was going to cause some trouble.
They were dancing, I believe.
Yeah, and then all you see is a crowd gathering around something and commotion going on, and then he disappears. And when it finally plays out, you saw that conversation between Criston and the other guy, and then he ends up beating him to death.
Yep.
So that's what happened, but I think Daemon had a little bit to do with it. I'm not sure what he did.
We'll find out if he did.
And it could be a nothing burger. I might just be reading too much into it.
And we'll find out one way or the other.
But anyways, yeah, Game of Thrones, I like it so far. It's worth my time. I'll keep watching it. So with all that said, man, let's start closing out. But before we do, what have we not talked about tonight that's on your radar?
Cobra Kai. Cobra Kai is a big one.
Yeah, I'm gonna probably catch it up tonight. Finish season 5, not tonight, this week, and we'll talk about it next week.
Right.
I've watched the first 3 or 4, maybe 5 episodes. I don't remember, but I've had all this other stuff I'm wanting to watch. There's a reason I haven't finished that yet. So we'll do that next week. What else? Anything else on your radar?
I think within the next week or 2, we're going to need to do some Halloween discussion, because you and I are going to be heading to the theater to see the Halloween movie coming up in 2 or 3 weeks.
Halloween ends. Anything else coming out that I should be interested in?
No, I mean, I was a bit intrigued by the movie Amsterdam. It has such a really good cast in it, but I saw an out of theater reaction to it, and it kind of gave me a little pause on it. So I'm kind of going to wait and see on that one.
There's a few movies out that I would like to check out. One is Where the Crawdads Sing. I know it's probably more of a chick flick than it is a fandom type of movie, but my cousin told me it was similar to Fried Green Tomatoes, which was a really good movie back in the either late 80s or early 90s. Another one that's on streaming or that's out to rent that I've wanted to watch is something called I believe I'm going to get this title wrong. Something Everywhere All at Once or something to that effect. It's got really high reviews. Let me look that up real quick. And we also got, if you want to talk about it for a minute, Ashley, we got Wakanda Forever come out in November.
Yep. Wakanda Forever coming out will obviously be the continuation of the Black Panther saga, and of course they'll have to, they'll pay tribute to Chadwick Boseman, and of course they'll have to say what happened with him in terms of how he passed away, because they're clearly not recasting the character of T'Challa. From all indications, it would appear that Shuri is going to take the mantle of the Black Panther for how long, I don't know. I mean, I know the character did that in the comics. I didn't read the comics, but that's just what I've noticed and read. So I think, and the thing that intrigues me the most about that movie is how not only they're going to handle that, but the introduction of Namor the Submariner. And this is a character that's basically one of the oldest characters in Marvel Comics. I mean, the rights issues that they've been fighting with Universal Studios to finally have it back. It's going to be very intriguing to see how they basically introduce the Marvel version of Aquaman. And I've never heard of this guy who they have playing the character. I hope he's good. I personally thought Brian T would have been great for the role, but hopefully this guy turns out to be really well, and the movie will do well. I've heard rumors that Doctor Doom is involved in it, so we'll see about that as well.
Can you see my IMDb screen?
No.
You can't see that?
No.
Huh.
You're just in the dark more than you normally are.
Hold on. You can't see that?
No.
Well, I have to work on that. I was going to... yeah, you should...
Coming soon to a YouTube platform near you will be a bloopers and follies video that we'll be putting out. There it is.
Yeah, let's watch this.
Right on cue.
Real quick. And it's one of the movies I just mentioned in case somebody might be interested. They don't know what it is or anything. You might be interested after watching this trailer. I know it's got really high reviews on IMDb right now. I can't see the rating, but it's high. Can you hear it?
I can see it, but I don't hear any audio yet. And there it goes.
We'll try to figure that out for the future. We can throw in some trailers and stuff like that. I know there's a way to do it. I've just never put a whole lot of time into figuring it out.
And hopefully once we get more content out there, there'll be the official Armchair Fly-By-Night Fandom merch store will be open for biz.
Oh, it's open right now. I just ain't done anything with it. I need to hire an assistant. I'll find an assistant, and you pay him for me, and I'll get as an assistant.
Yeah. You need a lot of assistants. I don't know the kind of assistant that I would procure for you would be exactly what you're looking for.
Anything else on your radar? That's two things on my radar.
That's the things on my radar: Cobra Kai and Halloween.
Everything, Everywhere, All at Once, and Where the Crawdads Sing. One thing I have been doing the last few days is watching some movies purely for nostalgia. I watched an 80s movie a couple of days ago. What was the name of that? It was a popular movie. It was on HBO Max. Hey, let me throw that out there. Some of the things on my radar that I've been watching is on Amazon Prime. There's a documentary series called Legacy about the rise of the Showtime Lakers in the 1980s, and they're just now, the last episode ended with Kobe running Shaq out of town, and that's a good series. There's a series on HBO called Winning Time with John C. Riley. It's about basically the same thing, about Jerry Buss and the rise of the Showtime Lakers. And there's a few other things I've been watching. Uh, but last night I fell asleep after I started. Do you remember a movie from the 80s called Uncommon Valor
I remember it. Yeah,
with Gene Hackman and he hires a bunch of guys, that former Vietnam vets, to go back
I
to
remember the name.
Vietnam
Yes.
to find his son, who he thinks is a POW.
Yeah.
That's a good flashback
I
movie.
will. I will say there is a couple other things I need to throw in here real quick. I started watching this show on Hulu called Reboot. It's about a rebooting. It's a comedy, a rebooting of an 80s sitcom. It's got Judy Greer and Paul Reiser, who seems to be in everything nowadays, from Stranger Things to this. Started watching it, and I watched the first 2 episodes. It's pretty funny. And there's
It's called
also another.
Reboot.
It's called Reboot. It's funny.
It's
And
on
there's
Hulu.
on Hulu. And there's a show that was on FX that the entire first season is on Hulu as well, called The Old Man. It's got Jeff Bridges in it. It's already been renewed for season 2. It's 7 episodes. They're about 40 minutes apiece. It's on Hulu, and I would, and, Jeff Bridges is a good actor, and I think people would. It's like a spy thriller type deal, and it really is. It's really once you start watching it, it sucks you in. I would encourage everybody to watch that. It's only 7 episodes for the first season, so I would give that a look if I was you.
Okay, Old Man and
The Old Man, yeah. Jeff
and what was
Bridges.
the name of the other one?
Reboot.
Reboot. Yeah, okay. I'll keep my eye open for those. There was another older movie that I watched recently, and I cannot think of what it was. It was another. Yeah, that's what it was. The Principal with Jim Belushi and Louis Gossett Jr. I actually watched that again the other night. It's like a knockoff of Lean on Me with Morgan Freeman.
I don't remember that one. I do not remember that. And I should considering the cast, but I don't remember that one.
Jim Belushi, Louis Gossett Jr. And I found a place last night where I could watch Iron Eagle for free if I want to. I know you remember that one.
Yep, Lou Gossett Jr. I do indeed. Wow.
And I think they made about 6 of them. The only one that was halfway decent was the first.
Yeah, I kind of lost interest after the first one. That's if I recall. I know Johnny Lawrence from Cobra Kai was all over it, but I could only go, I think, maybe one movie in that deal.
Was he in that?
No, but that was just one of the big things for Billy Zabka's characters. He loves Iron Eagle from
Oh
the
yeah,
'80s, and that's just one of his shticks.
yeah. All right, man. If you don't have anything else, gave you some suggestions to what you can look for, what to watch.
Yeah,
Other than what we talked about tonight, I would say Andor's decent. 13 Lives is really good. I watched it last night. House of Dragons a good show. Uh, and then some of the other things we talked about, shows you threw out there, uh, and some of the stuff I've been streaming and watching. So, with all that said, I'm looking forward to getting out to the theater soon, man. There
yeah.
hasn't been anything there really that I've really been interested in going to see, but we're gonna have to get out there here soon. I guess Halloween ends will be the first. Maybe for next week's show we'll watch the trailer for that together and react to it.
That's a good idea. I think it's a good idea. We'll do that.
All right, man. With all that said, if you enjoy what you hear or what you see, I know you don't just like what you see, but if you like the topics we talk about, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, leave a comment in the comment section below.
Visit
Make
the
sure you
merch store.
Yeah, please share our videos. We'll have more on the merch store next week. Please share our videos with other people. That's how we grow. And leave comments so that we know what kind of material you would like for us to cover. Because right now we're just throwing stuff against the wall. But if you watch something particularly you want us to cover, we will do that. You can see us on Facebook at Facebook the Facebook Armchair Fandom group, and on Twitter at armchair_fandom. Where can they find you?
They can find me at Ashley Houchins on Twitter, and find me on Facebook, and leave comments there, and be sure to tweet at us or leave comments to the group or Facebook.
All right. With all that said, man, have a nice evening.
All right, you too. Later.